Chosen one, stop for a moment, not because something is wrong, but because what is about to be said to you was never meant to be received in a hurry. There is something you have been carrying quietly for longer than you have admitted, even to yourself. Not quite hope, not quite certainty, but something that refuses to die even in the seasons that gave it every reason to. A sense that your life has been building towards something that has not yet been visible. A knowing without a name. You have not said this to many people, because the world does not always have space for that kind of quiet conviction, and you were afraid that someone else's doubt might dissolve the small certainty you had left. So you held it, alone. God saw that, every single moment of it. And here is what most people do not understand. The ones he trusts with his most important messages are not the loudest ones. They are not the ones who never doubted. They are the ones who went quiet enough, long enough, to be trusted with something that cannot be said in a crowd. You have been in that silence. And what was spoken to you in that silence, what you may have dismissed as imagination, as emotion, as wishful thinking, was never random. It was a message, private, specific, sealed for you alone. Today, what has been forming in secret is ready to be named. Keep this close. What God says next is not for everyone. It is only for you. I want to ask you to stay with me all the way through to the end of this message. Because by the time we finish, you are going to understand 3 things that most people never see clearly. Why the season you have been in was not what it looked like from the outside. What has actually been built inside of you that you cannot yet see, and the private word God has been holding for you, the one that was never meant for a crowd. Every part of what follows belongs to you. Stay. I want to start with the thing that hurts the most, the silence. If you have been in a season where God feels distant, where you prayed, and the words seemed to go somewhere empty, where you watched others describe signs and dreams and moments of unmistakable direction and wondered why your sky has been so still, I need you to stay with me here, because most people get this completely wrong. We were taught, somewhere along the way, that God's presence sounds like thunder, that the ones he loves most hear the clearest voices, receive the most dramatic signs, move through life with a certainty you can feel from across the room. And so when the silence comes, when the prayers seem to land nowhere, when the sky stays quiet, we draw the only conclusion that feels available. He is not speaking to me. And underneath that, the one we are almost too afraid to say out loud. Maybe he is not speaking to me because I am not the kind of person he speaks to. Stop right there. That thought is not the truth. It is a wound. And wounds have a way of speaking so convincingly that we forget they are not the same as facts. Here is what I know about silence. Throughout history, across every sacred text, the most significant moments were never announced. They happened in small rooms, on lonely roads, in the middle of nights no one else remembers. Mary did not receive the most important message in history at a public gathering. She received it alone, in an ordinary room, when the world outside had no idea what was happening inside. And she kept it. For months. Not out of shame, but because the message was too sacred, too new, too tender to survive being handed to people who were not part of the conversation. The significance of a message has nothing to do with the volume it arrives at. God does not shout his deepest things. He places them carefully into the lives of the people he trusts most to carry them. Think about a seed for a moment. When a seed is planted, it does not hear anything. There is no light. There is no feedback. From the seed's perspective, nothing is happening. The darkness feels like stillness, like nothing at all. But underground, in that silence, the most important work is already underway. Roots are forming. Structure is being built. Life is organizing itself around a purpose the seed cannot yet see. That is what your season of silence has been. Not emptiness. Construction. And here is how you know this is true for you, right now, in this season. You have felt a restlessness without a clean name. Not quite sadness, Not quite frustration, but something that makes the life you used to be satisfied with feel suddenly too small, as if the walls of what was once enough have quietly moved inward and you cannot breathe the way you used to. You have found yourself losing interest in things that once filled the time, not because something is wrong with you, but because something in you has outgrown them. There have been moments, brief and easy to dismiss, where a sense of knowing arrives without explanation. A direction, a pull, something that lands in you before your mind has had time to manufacture it. You have noticed coincidences stacking in a way that feels like more than coincidence. The right person saying exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment. Something you were privately thinking about appearing in an unexpected place. A door opening in the precise direction you had been quietly leaning toward without telling anyone. These are not random. This is the language God uses when He is preparing someone for something they are not yet ready to fully receive. I cannot tell you when the fullness of this arrives. That is not mine to promise. What I can tell you is the pattern, the one that repeats across history, across lives, across every tradition that has ever told the truth about how preparation works. The silence is not the end of the message. The silence is the message. It is the form that love takes when it is building something too important to rush. But this is only the beginning of what I want to show you today. Because the question that matters most is not why the silence came. It is what the silence was building. The silence was not just a container, it was a construction site. And I want to show you exactly what has been built inside of you, because most of it happened without your permission, without your awareness, and you have been walking around carrying something significant without knowing its name. Think about Joseph. Not the inspirational version, the real one. He was 17 years old when God gave him a dream so significant it should have changed everything. Except it did not change things the way anyone expected. He told his brothers, and that dream, spoken too early into the wrong room, nearly cost him his life. The pit, the betrayal, the years in a foreign house learning things he never asked to learn. The prison, the forgotten promise, the years of silence where everything God said must have felt like either a lie or a cruel joke. Here is what most people miss about that story. Joseph was not being punished, he was being prepared. Every single place he was put was a classroom. He was learning how to lead before he was handed anything to lead. He was learning to hold hope in one hand and hard reality in the other, without letting either one destroy the other. He was being built into a person equal to the purpose, because the purpose was too large for the 17-year-old who told his brothers too much, too soon. That is what has been happening to you. The things you lost in this season were not taken from you randomly. The version of yourself you used to perform for other people's approval, the one that smiled through things that were quietly breaking you, the one that gave endlessly from an empty place because that was the only way you knew how to keep people close. That version had to soften, had to crack, had to make room for the real one. The relationships that fell away, the ones that confused you, the ones where you kept asking yourself what you did wrong, they did not fall because you failed. They fell because you grew. Because the person you are becoming cannot be held in spaces that were built for the person you used to be. The roots are going deeper. You cannot see them, but they are there. And when the wind comes, and it will come, you will not fall, because the invisible work has already been done. Now, I want to share something with you, and I want to frame it carefully, because I do not want to overstate it or make it into something it is not. Scientists have discovered something remarkable about the brain's capacity to receive. Research from institutions like Princeton, MIT, and Stanford has looked at a specific brainwave frequency called gamma that is directly linked to intuition, insight, and what neuroscientists describe as the flow state. In children, this frequency is naturally strong. You can see it in the way a child learns without effort, the way everything feels connected, the way imagination and reality have not yet been separated into two different rooms. But modern life gradually dims this. The pressure, the noise, the relentless pace of a world that profits from a fragmented mind and a scattered attention. Researchers call this the decline effect, and it begins, on average, around age 7. To activate that gamma frequency, the traditional way through clinical biofeedback therapy costs around $300 per session. A home biofeedback machine runs close to $7,000. For most people, that access simply does not exist. Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscientist with over 30 years of research, compressed that entire technology into a single 7-minute audio track. You put on headphones, you sit quietly, you listen. That is all. The standard price for this track is $49. But because Dr. Lake wanted this technology to reach the people who genuinely need it, not just those with the means to pay clinical prices, the price available through this video is $39. You will not find this price on Amazon, on any streaming platform, or anywhere else. It is here only. Over 18,000 people have now used it, not as a replacement for spiritual practice, not as a shortcut to faith. As a support tool, the way you might use a tuning fork to help an instrument return to its natural note. When you purchase, you also receive 4 bonus resources at no additional cost. An audio track designed for children's brain development, the original book that inspired the film The Secret, a guided visualization across 4 areas of life, and a practical guide for the habits that shape the future you are building. All of that for $39 with a complete money-back guarantee. If you feel no difference, you receive every dollar back. No explanation required. One important thing before we continue: there are currently websites using the Genius Song name and selling imitation products that contain no actual brain entrainment technology, just ordinary audio with no effect. The only way to receive the genuine product with the full technology, all 4 bonuses, and the complete guarantee is through the link I have placed in the description and in the pinned comment of this video. Please do not search for it elsewhere. That is for those who feel called to explore it. For everyone else, stay with me, because everything we have covered so far has been preparation for what comes next. The silence formed you, the preparation equipped you, but none of this is the message yet. The message, the private word God has been holding, does not live in what was done to you. It lives in who you actually are, and that is where we go now. There is a woman in the book of Esther who spent years hidden, not hidden in failure, but hidden by design. She was placed exactly where she was placed, prepared exactly as she was prepared, kept from visibility until the moment when visibility was the only thing that could change everything. And when that moment arrived, she did not scramble, she did not perform, she walked into it, because everything that had been built in her during the hidden season was enough. The hidden season had not been a detour, it had been the destination, doing its work. And Esther is a mirror for where you are right now, not in the dramatic, theatrical sense, in the structural sense. In the sense that what has looked like you being overlooked has actually been you being held until the thing being built in, you became solid enough to carry what God always intended for you to carry. The ones who are held the longest are not the ones who have done something wrong. They are the ones who have been given something too important to release before it was ready. But here is what I need to address directly, because there is something standing between you and the message I am about to give you, and it is not doubt. Most people assume the obstacle is doubt. But doubt is human. Doubt is normal. Doubt does not disqualify anyone from hearing God. The real obstacle is something quieter and more stubborn than doubt. It is the belief that He speaks to people more together than you, more consistent, more spiritually put together. The belief that the private word He gives to others is not the kind of word He would give to someone who has struggled the way you have struggled, questioned the way you have questioned, fallen and gotten back up as many times as you have had to. I want you to sit with that belief for a second, and I want to ask you where it came from. because it did not come from God. It was taught to you by a system, by a culture, by voices that carried their own wounds and passed them along in the only language they knew. That belief is an inheritance you were never supposed to keep. And here is the truth that replaces it. The ones God trusts most with his private words are not the ones with the cleanest record. They are the ones who have been through enough to be unshakable when it matters. The ones who know what it costs to hold on to something sacred when everything around them says to let it go. The ones who have been emptied of the false version of themselves and are, at last, available to carry something real. Let me name what is real about you. You are a seer, not in a theatrical sense. In the literal sense, you perceive patterns others miss. You feel the shift before it happens. You have always known things you could not explain knowing, and you have spent years wondering whether to trust that or dismiss it. The answer is trust it. That is not imagination. That is your design. You are a truth carrier. You cannot live inauthentically for long before something in you revolts. People feel it when they are near you, a realness, an absence of performance, something that either draws them completely in or unsettles them enough to leave. Both of those reactions are the same confirmation. This is not a flaw, this is a calling. You are a voice. The ache you carry for something more real, the frustration with surface-level everything, the longing for depth in a world that rewards noise over substance. You were given those things because you are the one meant to speak them. The world has no shortage of noise. What it is starving for is the kind of voice you carry. You are a light bearer, not someone who performs brightness, someone whose presence quietly changes the atmosphere of a room without trying to. You have felt this. Others have felt it. You may have dismissed it as coincidence or projection. Stop dismissing it. You are a spiritual warrior. The seasons that should have broken you did not break you. You held ground in battles no one else could see. You stayed when leaving would have been easier. You stood when everything in the natural world said, sit down. These are not things you are working toward. They are descriptions of who you have already been, in secret, in silence, in the seasons nobody else was watching. And they are the reason for what I am about to say now. Chosen one, receive this slowly. God keeps his deepest messages private, not because they are secrets from the world, but because if you heard them in a crowd, you would assume they were meant for someone else. Think about the last time someone was speaking to many people, and a word landed so precisely on the exact thing you were carrying that it stole your breath for a moment. And then, almost immediately, the familiar thought arrived. It was probably meant for everyone. You were probably just reading yourself into it. It was almost certainly a coincidence. That is not humility, that is deflection. And it is the single most effective way the enemy of your potential keeps you from receiving what was always yours. God has been speaking to you, in the silence, in the restlessness, in the things you felt but could not prove, in the moments that arrived without explanation, in the longing that refused to die even when you tried to make peace with its dying. And here is the word he has been holding. Not a prophecy about your future, not a timeline or a guarantee about the form the breakthrough will take or the year things shift. This is not that. This is something more foundational than any of that. The word is this: you are ready. Not ready because the doubt is gone. Not ready because the wounds have healed into clean scars or the confusion has organized itself into perfect certainty. Ready in the way that matters, ready in your character. Ready in your roots, ready in the person you have become in the seasons no one was watching. The silence was not God withholding, it was God protecting something too important to expose before it had become solid enough to stand in the open air. Everything we walked through today, the silence that was never empty, the formation that happened in the dark, the identities that have been yours all along, those were not separate things. They were the same message, arriving from different angles, trying to get you to the same place. The silence said, I am building something here. The preparation said, and the thing being built is you. The identity said, and here is what I have made. And the final word says, now walk in it, not perform it, not announce it, not prove it to anyone who was not in the room when it was spoken. Just walk in it, from the inside out, with the quiet certainty of someone who has heard something real and has chosen to believe it, regardless of what the outside world confirms. Right now, without moving, I want to ask you to become aware of the weight you have been carrying, the question, the waiting, the wondering if the silence meant you were forgotten. Notice where that weight lives in your body. And now let this land in that exact same place. You were not forgotten, you were held. Let it settle, not as a hope, as a fact, as something you are allowing to be true right now. And carry this with you practically, because this matters. The message God speaks in your private place was never meant to be handed to every person who asks about it, not out of secrecy, out of wisdom. Joseph told his dream too early. It landed in a room that could not hold it. Not every person in your life has the capacity to carry what God has spoken over you, not because they are bad people, but because they were not in the conversation. Guard what is sacred, not forever, just until it has become solid enough in you that someone else's doubt cannot dissolve it. Let the miracle finish forming before you let the world weigh in on it. Walk out of this message today carrying these 5 things as your name: seer, truth carrier, voice, light bearer, spiritual warrior. These are not aspirations, they are recognitions, they are descriptions of who you have already been, in the hidden place, in the quiet season, in every moment you chose to hold on when everything said let go. God saw all of it. And what he says, what he has always been saying, in the silence and through it, is this: you are exactly who I built you to be. And the time for walking in it is now. Let us close this together. Before anything else, thank you. Thank you for the season that was hard. Thank you for the silence that felt like absence but never was. Thank you for every night spent holding something sacred when the world around you made no room for it. That faithfulness was never invisible. The one who was in the room with you through all of it has kept a complete record of every single moment, every prayer that felt like it went nowhere. Every time you chose to stay when leaving would have been so much easier. Every morning you got up and kept going without knowing why. He sees it. He sees the questions you held in the dark, the ones too honest to say out loud in the light. He sees the weight in your body that you have been carrying for so long you have almost forgotten it was not supposed to be yours. He sees the real you, not the version built for performance, but the one that shows up alone, unguarded, honest. That version is the one he has always been speaking to. You have been fully seen, fully known, and fully loved in all of it. Now we release. We release the story that silence means God has gone quiet. Release. We release every season of comparison, every moment of measuring our timeline against someone else's and finding ourselves behind. Release. We release the version of ourselves built for other people's approval, the one that wore itself out trying to earn what was always freely given. Release. We release the belief that he speaks to everyone except someone like us. Release. We release the ceiling we placed on our own lives, the one built from old wounds and borrowed doubts. Release. We release every name we were given that was never ours. Release. We release the old room, the old container, everything that belonged to who we were before we walked into this moment. Release. Now we activate. We activate the seer, the full capacity to perceive what God is doing before the world can see it. We activate the voice, the courage to speak what others feel but have no language for. We activate the truth carrier, the freedom to be fully real without apology. We activate the light bearer, the presence that shifts a room without performing for it. We activate the spiritual warrior, the unshakable ground that does not move when the pressure comes. We call in the connections that match this frequency, the people who can hold who we are becoming, the doors that were always intended to open at this exact moment in time. And we protect what is being built. We cover the in-process miracle from premature exposure, from doubt it was not designed to survive, from our own impatience. What has been lifted, let nothing pull it back down. Now we declare it. I am a seer. I am a truth carrier. I am a voice. I am a light bearer. I am a spiritual warrior. I was made for this. I was prepared for this. I was held for this. And I am ready. It is done. It is sealed. In the name that is above every name. Amen. Stay here for just a moment before you go. Do not rush this into the noise of the day. Let it settle the way something real settles, not loudly, not dramatically, but with a quiet weight that you know, somewhere you cannot argue with, is the truth. What was spoken here was always true. You are only now beginning to hear it clearly. If this message was for you, type the word sealed in the comments. Let your yes be recorded somewhere. And if someone came to mind during this message, someone who is in a silent season right now, someone who needs to hear that the silence was never empty, send this to them, not as a lesson, as a gift. Go well, chosen one. What God said about you was always true. You are only just beginning to walk in it.